Again?
For some reason.
Oh, no.
Could you wait
Shortness
until
of
they're
breath
ready
in the
to call
middle of the
me?
night, so they took him to the hospital and he's still there having tests.
That's why I
He
was
said
doing
it's
this
not a
little
heart
bit
attack,
more.
but they're still doing
It
tests.
takes like a minute.
He thought he'd be here tomorrow. Yeah. So, anyway.
Giving him too much stress.
Yeah,
So at the end
Yeah,
of the
your fault.
meeting,
Bill's giving him too much stress.
It was too hard on him to read that whole document.
That was a long document.
I'm telling you, we could pass it around. It would be
You
just
ready,
fine.
kiddo?
I was out of breath listening to him.
Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show today is February the 5th, 2019 at 9 o'clock a.m. In honor of the second to the last BOCC meeting that Miss Brenda will be in attendance to as our administrative assistant, I would like to ask her if she would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
okay. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Or play ball.
Yeah, play ball the other way.
That's right. Madam Secretary, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Flower.
Present.
Commissioner Camden.
Here.
Commissioner Prince.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith. And Clerk to the Board, Kelly Camper, present.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yep.
And if you did not hear me say, I think probably everybody in here knows, but Attorney Smith had some medical issues during the evening and was taken to the hospital for some further tests. He sent an email and said that he's still there having some tests done, but was pretty sure it was not a heart attack, so he thought he would be here tomorrow. So we will wish him the best. Also just want to say today is funeral for Faye Runkle. Thank you. The name just started to get away from me. So our thoughts and prayers are with her family, and disappointed we can't be there to support them today. Amendments to the agenda. Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen. Anything?
I have nothing, sir.
Nor do I.
Me either.
Okay.
It says on here, remove tourism board. Or
Yes, I've got the updated agenda, so mine's not on there.
I don't see it either.
So that, yeah, I have
It's
put
on the
that
one
on.
that's
Thank you.
printed that you have your mouse on.
It is not on that one.
What?
No, and it's not on mine that I uploaded. So I'm
There are
sorry.
a lot of
You're
them sitting
exactly
right
right.
here.
Thank you.
just pick
Is
up
this something we
one.
have to add or is it something we took off?
No,
And it's my fault. I'm the one that goofed that up. Certainly.
I keep this one because it's got
Okay.
the times on it.
Okay.
Not that you really need the times.
Yes, I
So what is it? What do we do? Bring
Forgot to
me
put it
back.
on that one.
I had added this and then had the different agenda. So I would request that we take off adding the tourism board member Bob Swanson under new business, because the tourism board is not going to meet, or has not met,
They need to meet.
to formally approve him. And I had a conversation with their tourism president yesterday. So there was some confusion about that on behalf of the tourism
So
board. So
the agenda we have is that.
by consent, gentlemen, if there's no objection, we will strike add tourism board member.
Okay.
Commissioner
I'm fine.
Prince? Okay, good, thank you. So that being said, then we will delete add tourism board member. Audience introduction.
Go slow so I can
Yeah.
Shocking. Jackie Bubis for the Sentinel.
Dennis Sprecher, Recycling County.
Thank you,
Go
sir.
Air Force.
Nice to have you here. How are you? Good. I don't believe we have any approval of any minutes.
Nope.
Commissioner items. Commissioner Kanda.
Well, it's only been, it seems like yesterday we met. And I haven't done much other than the strategic planning that we've been all involved in with Cheryl Trent. Good turnout last night. Lots of good discussions and some other ideas that were out in left field and in right field too. So it was I thought it was an energetic crowd, and you need all the input we can get.
I still have some surveys in my office.
Yes, and Linda needs to pick them up, and they're going to continue putting those in until.
Okay, so just
Yes.
keep them out.
Yeah, let me have that. No, let's go ahead and pull the survey,
Pull the
but give me the
blank
hard
ones,
copy.
but- Okay.
On it. This morning they're meeting at Rancher's Roost with the task force. Had all but one person for the task force today, so they're engaged.
How many people last night did you count?
It was around 50. I've got the attendance, but I'll count them up. But it's about the same. I think it's a little more than we had the first night.
Yeah, I thought so too. Okay, anything else, sir?
No, I wanted to ask, we got a workshop here coming up with Steve Kastner. When are we going to Salida on Thursday, or what's the deal on the next step?
February 14th, we go to Salida.
It's the 14th, I got it
Yeah,
wrong.
that's up
Well,
at
there's one
our,
tomorrow too, right?
yes.
Tomorrow is,
Tomorrow's San Isabel Land Trust Water Forum at Rancher's Roost at 6:30.
No,
So
there's
that's on
there's
Thursday.
something in,
tomorrow is from 2 to 4
2 to
at
4.
Rancher's
Yeah.
Roost,
Yeah.
and I thought
With
UAWCD was coming.
I did
Yeah,
too.
they're coming here.
Yeah, that's
We're not going to Salida.
what I thought. Okay, so they're coming here, we're going over there on the 14th.
Yes.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Wanted to straighten that out.
Yeah.
2 to 4 tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't have anything else.
Yeah,
I've been
I
working
didn't-
with the airport board, and they're doing a lot of good things. We'll hear about them when they come and report to us later.
I didn't have a whole lot either, for the obvious reason that, hadn't been very long since we met last. I did attend yesterday a Fair Board Strategic Planning Committee meeting. They're trying to move forward with a cooperative effort with CU Denver, utilizing a grant from DOLA to try to figure out a long-term strategic plan for their whole. It sounds like it's going to be more than fairgrounds. It sounds like it may be efforts towards a community event center and utilize fair being part of that. So
We'll get Jake Shine over there. Listen to it.
So we'll see how that all unfolds, and then obviously, as you just mentioned, this afternoon we have a meeting with Steve Kastner. It's my fault, it's Kastner with a K, Kastner,
As opposed to Caster.
yeah, and so he's coming at 2. We'll meet here in the commissioner's room. Hopefully we'll have some of the public here to sit in on that as well.
Expect we will.
And then, of course, tomorrow, 2 to 4, down at Rancher's Roost. And I've had some people call me and say, hey, or come by and say, I've got a couple questions I'd like for you to ask of them when they're here. So I've been making note of that, and we'll pass those questions along. So, about what I've been up to. Want to welcome our new administrative assistant as well. Yesterday was her first day. Those ladies have been working diligently on this transition process. When I'm not interrupting them, they've done a good job, and it sounds like we're moving forward there. So I want to welcome you.
She probably needs to come over in front of the counter.
No. And also, we've had a change in procedure. Meredith's email address is boccadmin@custercountygov.com. We're not going to use her name as many of the emails do in the court.
Protecting
So,
the innocent.
protecting the guilty. I mean innocent. Yeah. So yeah, if you need to send her something, boccadmin@. I know, I'm gonna have to stay focused on that. I already goofed up and sent Brenda something yesterday that I should have sent to boccadmin. But
She does have access to my email, so she'll be able to see my email.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while for the
while.
rest of the
Yeah.
world to catch up.
We sent emails out and stuff.
Yeah. And I just want to thank Brenda. She's done a great job yesterday and this morning. They've been hammering away this morning already, so appreciate that. Commissioner Prince?
I know it's only been, like you said, a couple of days, but I've been gonna do a lot of stuff. At the BOCC meeting last Thursday, I attended a housing study. After that, I went to the tourism meeting at Rocking Roadhouse 96.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that Rockets
gosh,
affair.
I should put that down.
Tried to
on
put
my
that out of my
list.
mind, I
Both of
think.
you were there, and
That was too
it was a
late.
debacle. Apparently it was open mic night, all the meeting was trying to go on. It was a disaster.
It was terrible.
But we all learned a lesson, it was a good effort, and in the future that probably won't happen again. I also attended last night the Prosperity Planning Strategy meeting, and I attended for a short period of time the focus group meeting this morning. Very eclectic group,
That's the whole point.
very interesting ideas and things, so it's been very interesting. I'm looking forward to meeting with Steve this afternoon. I also have lots of questions. And tonight, if anybody has the inclination, Westcliff will be moving into its new.
Oh, that's right.
Well, we'll be having its first town meeting in the new building, the old CMB Bank building. I
They got
don't
it
think
remodeled now, didn't
it's been remodeled extensively. It's
they? I know they were working, I hadn't heard it was finished.
fabulous. In fact, one of the things that I'm very excited about, because I'm really into community as one, united, it's very possible, although not a done deal, that Silver Cliff will join Westcliff in that building and make it their town hall also, at least for a period of time until they can either sell their building or do something else, and then they may build their own, but I just really love this idea when they may get together, so.
They leave their drive-in window in there for a quick
Drive-
suggestion.
Drive-in window is there,
Is it?
and will be used. The drop box will be used for ballots. The vault will be used for people, so, yeah,
For a quick little jail holding tank.
that's exactly what it's gonna be, this cutie
Is
pie.
she a cutie or not?
Well, good. Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else?
No,
Okay.
okay.
Obviously, no attorney items today since Attorney Smith is not in attendance. Admin assistant items from either admin assistant? No?
Meredith has some demands.
Ooh.
Wait a minute.
The hot tub I heard about.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, we're having issues internally here.
Again, it's a 2 against 3.
Yeah,
I think the odds
yeah.
are better.
It's been 2-on-1, and now this morning they informed me it's 3-on-2, and then it's going to be 3-on-1, and so I don't know. We'll see. All right, thank you, ladies. Public comment? Not, we'll move into staff reports, landfill and recycling. Mr. Dennis, how are you this morning, sir?
Oh, there's Rusty too. He's here to
Lord.
keep track of you, Dennis.
How are you? Good. RC, what's going
What
on?
was the game?
Leslie's actually got the floor, but I'm gonna give you, these are notes for my portion of it.
Okay. Well, you both can have a seat if you'd like.
Thank you.
Not very often we get to have the big mucky mucks in here at the same time, so.
Yeah, who's tending to the trash?
Hello, Jay.
Good to see you.
How'd the Super Bowl pool turn out?
Hey, Super Bowl is a defensive battle, boy.
I was wondering about how much money you won in the pool.
I didn't win any.
Nobody
didn't
won.
either.
Nobody had predicted that kind of deal.
I didn't either. All
Somebody
right.
did in Las Vegas
Did they
because
really?
some guy put up $250 for the score and he won $100,000.
Then he really
Oh,
get that low.
Oh my
That's a
God.
record.
That's funny. Well, we certainly have your documentation. Thank you for providing that.
You're welcome.
I don't know what you want to do first, recycle or landfill.
We can go through landfill, I think,
Okay.
pretty quickly.
Okay.
So revenue's been going up every year, which is a good thing.
Only reason recently raised our prices, did we not?
Took effect January one,
Right.
so.
Right, for commercial.
Right. So
Everything ironed out on
2018
there
was,
now, pretty much.
The commercial yards for 2018 was 12,387, so we'll have that at the end of 2019. Maybe a little more.
yeah, I was asking Miss Kelly this morning if she thought our landfill activity / revenue was gonna go up because now we have 2 trash companies. So I'll be interested to see in
Yeah.
December, or in January, a year from now, what we go
Right.
back and, or even by the month, you know.
Right.
Uh, what would be your prediction?
Same amount of trash, just two companies.
Well, I wondered about that, and then I wondered, well, maybe
Well, they
one or
could,
both would pick up some additional customers.
I think it'll get different customers, then the private trash haulers would stop.
But
Maybe.
is it, will
See
it
what
still all just show up to the same place? I would think.
Yeah, it would. I just wonder if a new trash company's gonna pick up new trash customers completely. I
I'm
don't
sure
know.
they will. I'm sure they
It'll be
will.
interesting to see.
Yeah.
But the overall trash in stays roughly the same.
Sure,
The private
yeah.
people are bringing in their stuff,
Right.
but they might go with a cheaper deal and have somebody else do it for them.
Yeah, it kinda depends on the influx of new
Right.
residents.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be significant. I just wondered with having a second
Yeah.
trash company, if they wouldn't go out and find new customers that were not.
I'm sure they
hauling their
will.
trash.
Might be
But
burying their trash in their house.
if they're not burning it, it's going to the landfill regardless, right?
Right.
That's
I
my
mean,
thought.
Right,
Yeah.
it is.
It's got 3 places to go: trash barrel or burn barrel, the bar ditch, or the landfill. They're not gonna haul it out of the county, so
Right.
it may not change significantly either, but I just.
It'll go up some, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
And it'd be hard to sort it out empirically. Is it new customers or new residents moving into the county, or, I mean, we would assume that's how it's gonna probably increase, right?
Right.
Just because it's more
Right.
people.
Yeah, you'd see the bottom line go up. So.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
We did 21,560 yards, cubic yards total for the year, so that's gone up from whatever, we were pretty consistent right around 18,000, so.
Yeah. Where is that number?
Right there, Tom.
Oh, down to. Oh, cubic yards total versus commercial cubic yards, right? Okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, so that'll be an interesting number to track, as well.
The thing that's happening right now is that their boat disposals, roll-off trucks are all broke down, I guess, and so we haven't had any roll-off containers for at least 2 weeks.
It'll all be frozen in there.
And we were getting those steady every day. We'd get a roll-off container or 2 or 3 or whatever was going on. We haven't seen any, so
Well,
it's making a difference.
and you guys are not taking, I'm jumping calls, I'll wait, never mind. Just remind me to ask about plastics. I'll wait till we get there. Cool. And in the big picture, where are we at and what is next on continuing, moving forward with getting the rest of that property permitted?
Okay, we haven't got the sampling back, the results yet, but we should be getting the results from the sampling on those 2 new wells anytime now. So as soon as we get those back, then the engineers will be informed on that, and then they can get going.
Excuse me.
Because those 2 wells are gonna make a big difference on the engineering for the
Right, for the
expansion.
rest of for the rest of the landfill,
Yeah.
really, right? Because it's gonna be a one-time deal.
Yeah,
We're gonna permit everything we can permit on the rest.
which is a really good idea.
And obviously, we're gonna have some trench pits in there, and then we're gonna go to an area landfill. Is that area landfill gonna have to be lined with plastic as well?
I'll bet.
Sure.
I'll bet they'll make us
They will.
line that. But that's all gonna come with what they find in these samplings too, from that water, because if there's no contamination with these 6 unlined pits, then why
Wouldn't that be something?
put the
Because
money
it's a
out to
law.
line that
It's
new
federal regulation
area?
that you had to.
It'd be hard hard to
What's that,
dodge.
Jay?
I said I was under the impression it was federal regulation now that you had to line the pits regardless. I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
but somebody
I
from
read
the
this.
state, the permitting person, or I can't remember who it was, and they were saying it's gonna depend on if there's contamination in those
Okay.
wells,
Mm.
because if there isn't,
And they have discretion.
yeah, then, you know, we could get a waiver for that, for
Oh,
lining
goodness,
those,
that's-
which would be
that's
a
hundreds.
huge.
That'll save a lot of money
Oh,
and
boy.
time.
Thousands and thousands of dollars.
What we need to work on it, we need to figure it out, if they aren't allowing.
Right,
So
right.
So the next thing would be wait to see these samples come back and then see what CDPHE does as far as.
Then hopefully we can get some waiver for those kinds of things.
Right.
that'd be great.
You know, we won't have to put any more groundwater monitoring wells over there. We will have to put in gas probes, I'm sure of that. But,
Are those 4-inch,
the gas probes?
or do they have to be that big?
No, I think that they're just whatever, about 2.5 probably,
How deep?
50 feet. Well, my monitor, I have a hose, you put the hose in the end of the monitor, and it only goes down that pipe probably 4 feet.
And what do you do,
That
light it?
samples the air all the way.
That thing went off on me that one time. Holy cow. Alarm was going off, beeping. Jeez.
I wonder if we could get somebody local to drill those wells if we have to put them in.
I don't know.
Good idea.
I thought they were gonna put them
Well, the state did drill those
in. They
3.
drilled
Yeah.
the 3 for us, right?
Yeah. But the gas probes, I don't know if anybody locally could do that or not, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
No,
Probably not.
Sure what all that entails.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
So, no idea about really what the next step would be, other than the engineering would probably follow after we get the results back.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the results back, and then they can move forward with their plan.
okay.
Hopefully it won't take them too long,
Okay, actually,
because we're gonna be in that new pit that I'm digging in about 2 weeks.
I saw that, it looked like you were closing up, man.
So working away on it today. On my way in.
That ground hard froze.
Oh boy. And we're almost out of cover material too, and the stockpiles
Yeah, it's hard
are
froze, too.
froze and some.
Yeah. Wow.
Get the dozer over there later today or tomorrow morning and try to rip some of it, get some cover material. We'll scrounge some up out there somewhere to make do until the thaw comes out. And I have this. This is for the Westcliff landfill north of town. And it's a covenant. Anyway, this has to be signed and sent back to the state. And is what it is they just want to make sure that we're doing everything we're supposed to under this covenant, which is inspect it, make sure the no trespassing signs are up, there's no standing water anywhere, and the caps are still good, they're not cracking or anything, and so we have to sign this and send it back to them.
Is there any caps or anything on the part of it that they built on?
Over the trash, it's just,
They haven't done anything up there. They can't,
Like
right?
they did on part of it. Maybe they just brought out the dirt that contained the trash in when they leveled it.
yeah,
off.
and then they
South of there.
topsoiled and
Sealed
seeded
with
it.
clay.
And the last time they came out and inspected it was fine.
Okay.
And so I do go out there and I put up no trespassing signs around it. But I think that a commissioner has to sign this. Lynn Asbury was the last one, it looks like.
Obviously, it's
I
not.
don't know if I can actually just sign it, I'm not really all that sure about it.
Probably wouldn't matter, but who knows? Can't hurt to have, Tom can sign that. I wouldn't see a reason why he can't.
Because we're doing everything that they want us to do under that covenant out there, so.
Yeah, from looking at it, I would think you could probably sign that,
But I
but
think,
up to you. If you want the commissioner to sign it, you should.
I'll sign it, and if they send it back, then we'll do something different.
sure.
Because it's just attesting that
You did it.
Right.
Yeah, I could look at the revised statute and see if it says it has to be signed by the commissioner, but I bet not.
I don't think so.
You'd be the one with the knowledge.
that's what I was thinking.
So it makes more
Right.
sense
I
for
haven't
you
even
to
done
sign
the
it.
property, so I wouldn't have any business signing it, but
You can take one.
I think you ought to, why don't you sign it, Rusty, and like you said, if it comes back, we'll sign it.
Right, yeah.
Not a big deal.
I just don't want to get fined for not doing it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, they had a, 50-year seal on that property, right?
And originally, we were supposed to take care of that property after it was closed for 30 years.
30 years.
But they took that down to 8, I think, a couple years ago. Do you remember anything about
I've been
that?
talking about it, but I don't remember. I remember it came down very significantly,
Yeah,
but I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Well, I was thinking there was like
Not
8
making
years
a
left
private
on it,
step.
but.
I don't remember.
Anything else, sir?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am. I had a question for you.
Rusty, do you have the 2018 revenue number?
Yeah,
Here, Jack.
Oh, thank you.
you can have that if you would like.
Oh, bless your little heart. So that's, okay.
Those are just the tipping fees for 2018. That's not cardboard or the sale of cardboard or aluminum.
So it
metal or
says
anything.
218.
Right.
Do you remember what last year's was?
Yeah, it's
That
all
was
loose.
It's like
206. 206.
206, 0.
Yeah.
179 the year before.
Wow. How'd you do that?
How do you do it?
Well, I mean, just how did he do that?
More people moving in.
No, I just, how did he have that number right on the
Oh,
number?
yeah, it's in his report.
I was just
Oh,
looking at it.
okay.
I was just looking at it. I wish I was that smart.
Good. Okay,
Thank you.
move on to recycle. Good.
One more thing is that on that pickup, they didn't tell us that the factory closes the first of the year and doesn't open up until the 21st of January.
What? So you don't have your truck yet?
No.
Oh my goodness.
Dragging on.
But whenever it does happen, then I'll come in here with all the paperwork so the commissioners can sign it.
Rusty, there's no such thing as a great deal.
No,
Okay.
it's a hurry up and wait world, I guess, so.
Well, it's en route. That's the good news.
Yeah.
Surely this is not gonna come down to a horse race between the coroner and the landfill. Who gets the pickup
I
first?
think they need to flip a coin and whoever
Well, I'm
wins gets
beginning to
the
wonder.
pickup.
Oh, the corner getting the pickup.
Well, he might get yours.
Oh,
No, I'm
No,
I
that's
see, I see what you're saying.
See where I'm headed?
Okay.
No, two different needs, two different vehicles. I'm just
No,
giving
it's
you a hard time.
Absolutely, just
Yeah.
teasing with you.
So you think sometime in the next couple months?
Yeah, if not this month, I'm thinking probably the 1st of March for sure.
That's incredible.
So,
That's incredible.
Well,
let's just
I
call it.
thought you were gonna say
factory
the
now.
government shutdown had something to do with it.
I guess they do it every year. They close the factory down until the 21st or whatever in January, and then they go back at it. The reasoning for that, I have no idea.
Save money, I guess.
all right, well, let's move on.
Well, I'm excited to hear Dennis.
Well, there was a proposal for us to take electronic waste out of the landfill.
Okay.
So I did a little investigating, and, these are I gave you in my notes, but in general, the end user right now charges 40 cents a pound for us to get rid of it. That's what it would cost us.
In Pueblo.
Whoever, there's 2 places, one in Pueblo and one in Colorado Springs.
They would come up here and get it, or?
That's what I would require, that they
Yeah.
would come up here and get it. They have also a flat rate schedule like they do with Salida, Like big TVs come in and under certain inches, 30 inches, that they're charging $20 a TV. Anything above 30 inches is $40 a TV. That would be the general rate. That could be fine-tuned later on, but that.
And those are just flat screen,
That's just flat screen.
not the big box.
Big box screens, that is still in discussion, but they haven't,
You mean the old tubes? Is that what-
well, those big projection screens and stuff that are really heavy, weighty things. That one there was unclear as to what to do with it. We have to charge by the pound or if we charge by the flat rate. But there's not many of them around no more. It was suggested to me that we do not haul any e-waste to any of these end users because of the liabilities. EPA, if we was to have a wreck or anything, we could be, and even though there's minute amount of pollution, hazardous waste in them, we would be responsible for them, and it was suggested we don't haul it anywhere, and have them come up and pick it up, which they normally do. That's what they did over at Oak.
Is that an additional fee to do that?
What's
Is it
that?
an additional fee to the 40 cents a pound?
At this moment, I didn't get an additional fee. The last time we did that, when we had a whole bunch of electronics from the courthouse here, they just charged us 40 cents a pound. And there was no fee as far as transportation. So we don't want to haul it. Containers, we need containers to put this stuff in. One of them will provide them, the other one I don't know about. They never really told me, but the one in Pueblo has they're all just plastic containers with metal around them that we can handle with a pallet, that are easy to handle.
So they pick it up and put on a flatbed?
Yeah, put on a flatbed or whatever. In this case, they had a box van. And we keep them in there, and we have to store them in a shelter, out of the rain, out of the weather. By law, they cannot be in the weather, so we have to make some kind of shelter for them that allows them to be contained. It's just one of the SOPs, standard operating procedures for electronic waste. We need to buy a scale because we're going to have to weigh it. That's to be determined what will work for us. We also need to charge enough to cover our costs because we're a nonprofit, but we need to cover our costs. And I'm suggesting that we charge 60 cents a pound to start with. We may have to tweak it, but at this moment, those are the basic
So
requirements.
the handling would be actually, after you get the containers and everything, would be picking up a pallet, loading it up.
Yeah,
What else? The weighing it.
and we're gonna have to spend a little bit of money on, like I say, a scale and making some kind of shelter.
When you
Well,
say
that's fixed
we,
cost.
County. Landfill.
okay,
Have you done any estimates on what the costs of the shelter and the scale? What would our infrastructure cost be? Just trying to see is, and then an estimate on how many pounds of waste I'm trying to come
I'm
up
trying to
with.
get that information, and there being the conflict between P&O and Oak.
Is Oak being tight-lipped about what it costs?
I was trying to talk to Leonard to see what they were getting, and they don't. I never got that information. We're classified as a small quantity handler, and that was another question of whether or not we want to do it on a regular basis every day, or we want to do it once a week or once a month. We just have a electronics day where everybody brings their stuff in. Instead of trying to do it every day, we have to keep a separate till from the gate. We have to come up with some logistics on how to weigh them and mark them and put some kind of tagging on them that we know that they've been weighed and the fees been paid on it. And
Sounds like you guys need to come think about it and come and give us a proposal. Think about it.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
You
I
come up
think
with a
it's great
process,
idea.
and, well, I think it's a great idea too.
I think the service is needed. I mean, there's so much electronics out there, it just keeps growing and growing, we need to have a place people take it.
Now, I do know one thing,
And you're the logical
along that line. Have you ever tried to get rid of something electronically?
I take it to Pueblo, I
Right.
brought it down there.
Because
I
I'll
know
tell you
exactly
why
what it's called.
I do. You go to Oak and the cost is too darn high. And so what happens is people either throw it in the bar pit and run over it, or they'll take it down there. You know. So that's why you gotta think about those things and come back with some kind of proposal for us to consider, cost-wise, and kind of incentivize people to do it.
I wonder if there's something we shouldn't consider privatizing.
Mhm.
I mean, we heard it all night last night. Everybody come up with some harebrained ideas about what they think this county ought to be doing for economic development and business and so on and
It
so
already is
forth.
privatized.
Pardon?
It already is. Oak is privatized.
No, I'm talking about instead of the county being the receivership for this e-waste.
And
That's
we
what
don't, we don't
Oak
take
did.
it now, it goes to Oak, so it is privatized now. What we're discussing is whether we wanna make it public. And the advantage of that, I would think, even though I agree with you, it's a nonprofit, the advantage of that is that we can open it up to more people. 'Cause Oak is very finicky on,
Well,
I'll take that and not that.
well, that's the point, and you try to incentivize people not to throw it in the bar pits around here, because guess what? It costs the county stuff to clean
There's
it
no
up.
doubt about that, and that's true with any of our refuse. We've had this discussion before, and I don't think it's been an ongoing problem with trash bags being thrown out because they don't wanna give you a buck or two to stick it in landfill. There hasn't been an ongoing major problem, I don't think. You know, but if it gets too expensive, that's exactly what's gonna happen with electronics, but it is already privatized.
Yeah, I guess that's true, it is. I was thinking, instead of us getting involved in it, I should have said leave it privatized, but I hadn't thought
Okay.
about that. Now, whether or not it's too expensive, I don't know that.
And that's what we need to get the data to figure out.
What about high country recycling?
Well, they're not exactly involved in it, but they can be.
Well, maybe they should get involved. If that's what they wanna do, is push recycling, maybe there's something they should be involved in.
It was just brought to me to find out what it would take for us to initially start doing it, and what would be required for us to do it according to the state laws.
Do you guys know if,
I have talked to COG, I have talked to
Beth.
That's Lance.
Lance and everything, and she helped me with some of the legal portions of it. So, like I said, this is strictly a proposal, whether or not we even wanna go and find out how much things are gonna cost, and we have some examples from other counties and what they do and everything.
Well,
go ahead.
if there's a consensus, I would think we certainly ought to look at this. We ought to ask, please come back with you brought a concept today, come back with a proposal. I would encourage you do that, because I think it's just an adjunct of our,
Recycling.
So in your
recycling,
proposal,
land pit and all that. We're already recycling cardboard, so does a private company.
We need more detail on how you're gonna handle
so
it,
in
what the
the
cost
proposal,
would be,
mainly
once a
the
week.
big thing would be a structure or shelter for the stuff,
Sure, you can figure out what
Yeah,
that.
and
that
then,
would be the big thing.
and then you'd have to make some kind of guess, and speaking to Leonard, of course, would make a really good, it's an excellent suggestion. Can we anticipate 2 tons a year? I don't know, I'm making
Yeah,
up a
that
number.
was a question that we
So,
don't know.
you're right, and you could talk to,
I can.
Well, I wonder if
ask
the-
other counties, and then you can figure out, well, it's 60 cents a pound, if it's 2 tons a year, here's the amount of money you'll bring in, this is what the additional cost to operate. And then how does that price compare with Oak? Because I'm not looking to put Oak out of business, but if our citizens can save 15 or 20 cents because we're a nonprofit and they're a profit, I mean, that's something we ought to think about providing for.
I wonder if the recycling outfit at Pueblo or the Springs, they have addresses, they know who they paid. I wonder if they can sort on that and say Custer County sent down X amount of stuff.
I could talk,
See what they
I forgot to bring up his name, he's the one that comes up here out of Pueblo. The only issue that I'm finding about him is he's getting old, and he's not finding anybody to take over his business.
There's
That
a lot
was
of
one little
private people
caveat that I had found out, and, I would like to find out whether or not the one in
I like the
Colorado
idea
Springs.
of more information. Let's see what we can think about. You know, what is the structure? Is it a van trailer out there you can just put it in? Or is it a building?
Yeah, that
What
would be
would
something
you-
pretty sturdy, you know.
Yeah, what do you
Hold up to 80-mile-an-hour windstorm.
Yeah,
We don't
Or,
have it here.
you know,
like
metal
a
building.
semi-truck trailer or something.
Is there any opportunity for whoever in Custer County to grind all this stuff and send it out already
It
ground?
has to be disassembled.
Can't
That's
just
what they,
grind it.
you know, there's good and bad stuff in there. There's the good stuff, and then there's the hazardous
Well, that's a
waste
good question.
that are
on that,
mixed
because
together.
I don't think they disassemble it down.
Who runs
What
that?
my understanding is they take these TVs down into Pueblo, and they disassemble
Do
them,
they
and they send portions to back east and some to another direction.
suck out the?
And they just, and basically
Mercury
it's the
and-
cards, you know, the cards and everything that are in them that contain all the bad stuff. And they take the frames off and things like that.
Yeah, I just think about, what is it, American down there, it grinds those cars up by the hundreds every day.
They do that.
And you'd
They got
think
electronics and those, don't they?
we could grind up a whole vehicle. I mean, they take the catalytic converters out of them, but that's it. Then they grind the rest, tires, blocks, glass, everything. I just
The
have this
radio.
vision of somebody opening a business in Custer County, grinding those up,
Or
blowing
even
that into the
disassembling.
trailer and haul it off.
One of the problems is this is mandated by the state, but there's no money put to it.
Yeah. So CDPHE has the regs on that, I wonder, or
I can ask.
I wonder who sets that. Is it federal or state?
Sure, it's EPA, comes down from them, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's EPA that would be involved if there was some kind of mishap.
That's where CDPHE that's where they get all their rules
Yeah.
and regulations from.
Well, if you don't mind, continuing to look
Keep
forward on
investigating.
some information, and, you know, I think Commissioner Canda's suggestion, maybe if we had a semi-van trailer sitting out there, it's not easy to dump it in, you'd have to throw it in by hand, but I wonder also, typically this stuff's gonna come one or two or three pieces at a time, right? Nobody's
Sure.
gonna bring you a big trailer full of that. I was thinking on the scale end, you might look at we call them pig scales, they're just a small portable scale. You could throw 2 or 3 items in there, weigh it, and pitch it up into whatever storage.
So they have to go in totes.
Yeah, we have to put them in totes.
Blue plastic containers.
Something, what they had was these old 300-gallon water tanks with the metal cage
Right.
around them, and cut the tops off of them. They're sturdy, and yet they're contained.
Still.
That's, you know, they were recycling them.
Wouldn't be any room in the cardboard recycling area to put those in under
We don't have those
cover.
rules
It's too
now.
small.
So really a van trailer wouldn't work because you gotta be able to get to them with a forklift.
I would
Be a
prefer it
side
to be
loading
at
one or
ground
something.
level where you don't want us to have to take them up into something.
And I don't see this need changing any. I mean, it's probably just gonna get worse.
That's what I was thinking.
As technology. I mean, we used to keep
Unless you're a
TVs
hoarder.
for 20 years. That's not the case anymore.
We got a lot of those up here.
So,
There are other places that take them, like Best Buy and all that stuff, but they only will take what people buy there. They won't take.
isn't that crazy? Yeah. Okay. Well, appreciate
Move
it.
on, men.
Okay,
You say
Concept's
something,
good.
you wanna talk about plastic?
I do. Yes, thank you. The landfill is not recycling plastics. Is that correct?
No, at this moment. I am still recycling it in a way. I'm letting people sort their stuff out, and then we bag it, but we still bury it. I tell them whenever, but something may come up in the future, and they'll start taking it again, and you guys will be all ready. It'll just a matter of changing gears is all. You go from point A to over here, and I have to start bailing them again, and it allows them someplace to put their stuff, but we're still throwing it away.
So it gives them a good feeling. It doesn't have a darn
No,
thing
it
to do with
doesn't. It
reality.
makes them feel good, that's all it is.
It's in the big land.
I had somebody ask me the other day, and I thought, you know what, really, it's kind of an interesting question. Other than hazardous stuff, including e-waste, this question was asked of me, so I will ask it of you. It's not my question. Why does the landfill care what we bury out there?
State groundwater.
Mattresses, washing machines, refrigerators. That question was, why does any of that matter? Why don't we just bury everything that's not a hazardous waste?
Refrigerators are hazardous.
If you take the Freon out, are they still hazardous or no?
No, that has to be done first. But then you take those down and recycle them and get paid for them.
If they were saving the steel or the metal, right, is one of the reasons, but you could bury it.
Refrigerators, take
Yeah, we
them
could.
down, recycle them, take them to American, then they get paid for all that stuff, so we get money for that.
Okay.
And it's the right thing to do, to recycle it,
Yeah, and it saves landfill space.
save landfill space.
That was my
Saves-
initial response. I
It
said I
saves
believe it has to do more with
damage to equipment,
landfill.
driving over that metal out there in the pit, damages things, especially expensive tires.
Well, unless you bury it right.
So are recycling most of the metal now, or just the white goods?
Again,
They're pretty good at that too. Yeah, see, you sort of.
Pull a lot
people
of
are
metal
dumping.
out of that
Sure
landfill.
do.
When people dump it in there, these guys pull a lot of metal.
Well, there's a
out.
lot of little
how
pieces
many,
people
how
don't
many
think
tons
of.
did we send this last year to American metal?
How much?
How many tons, yeah?
No, we got out of it.
I never heard, but I know they were coming on a lot.
Well, I think the recycling thing is gonna be more and more critical as we move along, if nothing else for landfill space.
6,221
Tons.
Dollars or tons?
dollars.
Oh,
At, what is it, 20 cents a ton? or
Oh, it varies so much throughout the year,
But
just like cardboard.
Okay,
like 20 bucks.
well, thank you, I appreciate that.
And so that's revenue that we're getting instead of burying it, so.
Yeah.
And the space you save.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Dennis.
guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in, Dennis, good to see you, buddy.
Thanks. Go.
Good boy.
You're up.
Thanks,
See
Dennis.
you guys next time around.
All right, thank you, appreciate it.
Stand back up.
Morning.
Cold hand, I know it.
Good to see you.
You tried to warm it up.
Yeah. Sit on it.
I did. Just like before, wouldn't it?
Hey, how are you today, sir?
Pretty good.
Good,
Oh, yeah, we did.
good.
We got some issues with water. The last 3 or 4 days, it's been
Boy, it's
pouring
everywhere.
up and-
It's everywhere.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and then we had some culverts last summer that didn't get cleaned because we were so busy chasing washboards and road maintenance that now we got water over roadways. We're dealing with that, so.
274 being a bad one, huh?
No. 271.
Or 271?
Yeah, we had that culvert that froze up on it,
Yeah.
and we went out and we cleared that out to where it would drain. I know we probably had 6 inches of ice on the road out there.
There's ice melting everywhere, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's good and stuff.
Yeah, I was brainstorming with Scott Kemper the other day about, I wonder if there's some way on the really bad culverts to try to put in a heat tube or something, you know, that industry-wide, I don't know. I mean, I guess everybody just fights the battle.
It's just hard to reset it and make it steep enough the water gets out of there.
Well, and you have to make sure the outlet end of it remains clean. I think that's what happened over here on 271, that it wasn't daylighted out to where the water could, and I think it backed up in the culvert, and we had some cold weather, and it just froze in the culvert, so that's something we need to be mindful of, is make sure it's can drain properly.
Yeah, I look at that ice flow over there by Willow School coming across those hay meadows, and I think, oh my gosh,
Yeah, I
it
heard
wouldn't
that.
take much for that to engulf Willow Lane.
We got too used to the drought, that's the problem, because they
Well-
used to do that, used to ice skate in these meadows.
Well, that's just it. You know, we were going to elevate the lake road on the south side of Lake Louise and reinstall some culverts that we removed, and we ran out of time last summer, and now we've got water backing up.
Yeah.
And, so, it's just, you know, and we didn't have much water last year to give us these issues.
Times are changing,
Yes,
thankfully.
they do,
We need
yeah.
the moisture, no doubt, but.
Mhm.
Well, I've got some questions for you, but let's go through anything else you have before we get to that.
Actually, I think that's probably
Okay.
about it.
I'll get crucified for asking this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Fuel use,
Mhm.
Wet Mountain Fire uses county fuel. Is that correct?
Yeah, according to the report, that's what I'm seeing.
And I guess my question is, why in the world would the county be paying a fuel bill on a special tax district?
Are they reimbursing us?
Well, that I'm not sure of. I'd have to check on
Question.
that.
Would you mind looking into that a little bit?
Not at all.
I
We
just
can't
don't
use
get
county
it.
money, outside of what it was collected for.
Well, yeah, that's why I always assumed that we were just getting reimbursed for that also, but I'm not certain on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we need to look into that and see. I mean, that's obviously what the taxpayers are paying money for, is to cover the cost of fire protection, including fuel.
Yeah, I hope we're getting reimbursed for it. We're not.
I'm guessing we're not buying their tires, or we're not
Exactly.
buying their windshields or anything else,
I
so.
guess I just
Question
assumed
for
that.
Donna, probably.
Mhm. Yeah, I'll check with her on
Good. Thank you for
You didn't
your
get crucified, so it
report.
didn't hurt, did it?
Well, we'll see. We're not done. We're not done. Can we talk about the airport and what our arrangement is out there for snow removal?
Yeah, you know what we're doing is, we focus on getting our roads cleared, the main roads. And as soon as that equipment gets nearby that airport, and I think in the past, it's been like the second day that it's gotten cleaned off. But, and I need to talk with the guys that are on the airport board, because, I know the last couple of times that, at least when I was around and I wasn't gone, I've tried to get on that first day as soon as the equipment gets close by, because I'm thinking, you know, they may be, for all I know, a medical emergency where we have to have a fixed wing
That's right.
aircraft land on there in the runway. So that, and if we get it cleaned off, the quicker we get it cleaned off, then the sun can melt whatever
Better
it
it
Take
is.
much for the sun.
And so anyway, that's kind of where we're.
Okay, let's assume that's what's going on, like second day or whatever. Do you charge the airport back for that then, or do you absorb that?
We just absorb it, since it's a county-owned
Right.
airport,
Right.
we just do it, just like we would the courthouse or sheriff's office.
My phone rang and somebody said, how much is the county, meaning Road and Bridge, charging the airport for snow removal?
Well,
And I thought, I don't believe they're charging them anything. It's the county, it's part of the county. All right.
yeah, same way with, like doing the courthouse or
Right,
the sheriff's
plowing
office,
out
we
here,
don't charge
yeah.
the courthouse or the sheriff's office.
Do you think it would be reasonable for the airport board to look at coming up with their own snow removal vehicle, truck with a snowplow blade on it?
Well, I think they've still got one.
Yeah,
It's
an old one.
That old dump truck
Yeah,
with the
I don't-
plow on the front.
They told me it wasn't functional, but I don't know.
Yeah, they might not be. I know that, we've taken both a plow truck down there and a motor grader and done snow removal with both of them, and there's advantages with the motor grader versus snowplow. The snowplow, the cutting edge on the bottom of the plow is angled approximately like that, and for that reason,
Just don't get any.
well, what it does is it gets into that crack seal and it peels
You
it
don't
out.
want to peel it.
And we don't want to do that. So when we take a motor grader down there, we tilt them forward a lot, where it'll skip over that stuff versus trying to bring it up out of the runway.
Is there any reason why you can't leave a motor grader out there and plug it in out there?
Yeah,
Start from out there.
that would work most of the time, but if we ever get a big snow, it could strand that motor grader out there where it would be tough to
Because the
get
guy
to.
couldn't get there to operate it.
Yeah, and then we'd have to supply that guy with a pickup every time we were out there. And then if he wanted to blade in another area, and
Well, you go from there and you go blade another area.
Well, I
and,
just,
and then it would be, if we got a foot of snow, we'd have to be cleaning snow off of it and de-icing windows and things like that. So it'd be out in the elements. It wouldn't be so bad if it could be parked inside. Then what you're thinking though is if we had one stationed out there, we could clean it off
Just
right
go out
away.
there and then go do the roads around there,
Yeah.
instead of sending one out and then sending it all the way back here. You gotta
Yeah,
look at the cost of running that blade back and forth.
but then, that's something to look into. It'd be a lot handier if it could be
Especially
parked
if there's
inside.
from an emergency point of view,
Mhm.
just looking at the bigger picture. We got a fire truck station there.
well, the big picture, the general responsibility is road and bridge to clear the airport or the runway, correct, with snow. That's a fair assumption.
Mhm.
Okay. And then if we may, unless gentlemen you have other questions about that, I'd like to have a little bit of a discussion about this invoice from CenturyLink.
Mhm.
I asked you this yesterday, but I want to ask you again for the record. You had not received an invoice prior to this invoice that we have in front of us from September until now.
Exactly. This is the only one have gotten, and I got a hold of CenturyLink, and
Why don't you describe this for the public
I'm
record?
hitting it, so
No, that's what I'm trying to get to.
contact the CenturyLink down.
and I asked them also. I said, "You've not sent out any other invoices prior to this one?"
Right.
They said, "No, this is the only one."
Okay.
And what they've done is they've actually contracted a third-party adjustment company, J&R, and they told me the reason they contracted them is because they don't have enough adjuster staff at CenturyLink to take care of charges such as this. So that's why they've gone through.
Yeah, all I was trying to do a minute ago was
That's fine.
to make sure that everybody understands what the issue is. We're asking a question in the middle because we understand because we've gotten the emails. But the point is, we, the county, hit a CenturyLink line without calling 811 at first. And that's the issue. And the reason that happened, either accidentally or in fact, I think they believe that line was relocated. And it wasn't. So now we've got this thing that we didn't even know we were aware that it was coming, so.
Yeah, the line was thought to have been relocated because it was discovered about 3 years ago. And then, some individuals, CenturyLink, said that they would see about getting it moved.
Then we never followed it up on.
No, and then when the individuals went out to clean the cattle guard, they took a county-owned locator, utility locator with them, and they never
So
found the line. So they assumed it had gotten moved, so they went ahead and started their work, and then
And so what was the total amount? Was it a couple $1,000 and
it was
it increased with some penalty?
no penalty was added on to it. The total charge was $32.21.10. And there was a administrative cost that was added on to the repair cost.
Be the cost of that company to handle it or something?
Well, what they tell me was it was a cost for processing the claim, and I bet I'm processing and collecting on the claim, and I think that part of that fee is for paying J&R adjustments.
Sure.
That third party fee is what I'm thinking.
Do you think J&R came out and looked at this?
No, I think that CenturyLink had an individual come out and look at it probably, and then they got a hold of J&R because it was after their working hours, business hours, and
Why didn't they tell us?
What's that?
How come you didn't know? Why wouldn't they call us? Meaning the county.
Well, they did actually notify me.
Oh.
Well, they notified me as soon as we got into the utility line, CenturyLink line, that they were gonna have somebody come out besides themselves and repair it, because there were individuals on that road that were out of service.
So CenturyLink didn't do the repair themselves?
No,
Well, the issue I have is this. Well, that's actually twofold. Number one, that we weren't invoiced at the end of September, 1st of October, end of October, whenever they do their invoicing. And then they're adding this administrative cost on top of it.
mm-hmm.
I would think the $28.75 was to repair the damage done.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that's certainly more than reasonable to have somebody come out and repair a 25 pair line for $2,875. I struggle a little with this $345 as an administrative fee. I suspect, I don't know this, but I suspect that is to cover the cost of the claim and all that business, which I have an issue with. There wouldn't be a claim other than if the CenturyLink would have said, we need to invoice you for this repair, we would have paid it. To me, end of story.
Right.
And I assumed that that's what they were gonna do, and then I get a phone call about 9 days ago from JNR, and I found out that it was subcontracted out to them.
So they subcontract their admin action to go ask some, or go send out a bill.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I was just waiting for an invoice.
Right.
And, you know, it went so long that we didn't get one. I thought maybe they just felt like,
You poor guys.
Well, no, it was, part of it was on us. We never moved the line when we told them we would or whatever. I don't have a problem paying well, I've got a problem paying it, but I'm willing to pay the $28.75. I do not believe we owe them $345 for an administrative fee. That's my feeling, but,
Probably.
go ahead.
I absolutely agree with you on the administrative, but I'm questioning also the cost of repair. If they told you that they moved it and they fixed it, do we have any documentation on that, or was it just verbal? Because we have documentation on it, and I think they have misled the county to believe, and you reasonably believed that they had done what they said they were gonna do, and you felt at that time, and I read your email, and I appreciate what you said, that you're gonna check anyway, even if they claim that in the future. But I'm concerned that if you in good faith believe them to have moved the line, and there's some documentation other than, I remember them telling that, because then that won't hold up in court, I'm almost the mind to say, guys, you didn't do what you said you were gonna do, CenturyLink, and we're not gonna pay this.
well, I wish there was something in writing, but I'm told, because it was prior to me going to work for Custer Bridge, that it was just a verbal
In that
phrase.
case,
Unfortunately,
To your knowledge, they didn't say, we moved it.
no.
The guy said, I'll look into getting it moved.
And I wasn't even aware that they had agreed, or made a comment that they would get the line moved until just fairly recently. I happened to be working in a different part of the county, and Roger had took a crew out to do the county guard work. And I wasn't involved until I found out that the phone line was
I think
so.
the way it was handled was reasonable. You believed it was done, you were told it was done, you relied on what they said, you went ahead and did your operation, found out that they failed to do what they told you were gonna do. Now, all that sounds wonderful, except if it ever got before a judge, the judge's gonna go, show me, tell me, you know, and you can't. So I understand, so.
You're absolutely right. There's one other thing that is against us too. It is a law to call 811, no matter what you dig and no matter what you think. And that's part of the problem they got. They've been given a lot of forgiveness to people, counties. Counties are, I remember a couple meetings we had at CCI about this action.
Well,
a motor grader can drag a blade too low along the highway.
I get it.
So it's hard.
If we create an issue, we should pay for it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem with it. I don't think Roger did anything.
No, I don't think it was atrocious.
I don't even think, at first I said, my first reaction when I heard about this yesterday was, well, one of our men made a mistake. It happens, we're human, we'll learn from it, let's pay it and move on. But the more I think about it, the more I think, he probably didn't even make a mistake.
No, he hadn't.
He relied upon information that was given to him that was erroneous. But without anything to go with it, I agree with you, Mr.
Couple that
Chairman,
with
we
the
probably would
811.
just go ahead and pay the 28, whatever it is, and its administration fee. I think we need to tell them that, you know, had you told us about this in a timely manner, you wouldn't have incurred that cost. And it's not our fault that you can't get your billing right. I mean, heaven's sakes, what they charge, they ought to have a slew of accountants sending out bills, they're very expensive. So my feeling is, I agree, we ought to go back to them and say, you know, we'll pay for the repairs, we own up to that, but your administrative fee. So I'm just agreeing with you, Mr. Chairman.
So I wonder if that's the consensus, or certainly handle it through a motion. If that's what we want to do, then do we remit the $2875.98 with a letter explaining why we owe them for the
That's
administrative
exactly the
cost?
way I would suggest it.
Probably so, and the reason I say that is, I tried to talk to CenturyLink about this invoice yesterday, and they referred me to J&R, they wouldn't even discuss it, once it got turned over to J&R.
See, that's a feeling like it turned over to a collection agency,
Well,
not a
and-
billing outfit.
And I asked them, I asked CenturyLink, I said, what is J&R? I said,
Just handle the claim.
they said, well, actually, they're a collection agency, but they're not working in that capacity for us, they're working as a claims adjuster.
Yeah.
See, that doesn't make sense.
I'm not paying, I
Well,
don't
the,
feel we should pay.
the interesting thing is the remittance doesn't go to J&R, it goes back to CenturyLink. So if we were dealing strictly with CenturyLink, then I could see where they would believe, because we're we're collecting the money and then we're gonna reimburse
See,
CenturyLink.
that implies that CenturyLink's paying them a fee, and then they're collecting
So let me do
it,
this.
making money on it.
Let me do this, just so we can have it official. I move that we go ahead and we pay the CenturyLink bill invoice number A423008 dated 1/7/2019 for the amount of $2,875.98, and do not remit the additional $345.12 for direct administrative costs as they have in here.
And
Include a letter.
And include a letter telling them why we're doing what we did. And we certainly can open this up again. If they come in with a really good argument, we could change our mind. It's not a lot of money,
Or
it's
another fee.
we're talking
Principal
principle.
here.
So that's my motion.
All right, I'll second it, let's go.
It's been moved and seconded that we remit to CenturyLink, $2,875.98 on the contractor invoice, and include a letter explaining why we're not also remitting $345.12 for administrative costs. Further discussion? Would you draft up a paragraph letter?
Of course.
And supply that to our administrative assistant, who can forward that to,
I think Clint probably ought to look at it just
Okay.
for review. I just feel more comfortable if you do that kind of letter. I'm happy to write it, but have him just review it.
it's a hard copy for you for reference.
Be happy to.
Further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Wait.
I'll take a question, there's no public comment on
No,
this.
just a question, when did the incident occur?
September 18th, 2018.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Certainly no animosity on my part toward the road and bridge. I think it was, like Jay alluded to, you know, I think they were acting in good faith, and so it's just one of those things. I don't mind paying for the damages that we caused and the expense that they incurred, but.
Yeah.
But 811 should have been called, and it's a
Exactly.
practice you have,
I
and
read
should
the letter
continue
that
to
you're
do.
gonna do that in the future.
And what I've done since then is I've come up with these tickets. Whenever I've told the department, we're not gonna break the surface of the ground without doing an 811. It's a learning experience. I mean, it's,
Good.
even if we've got our own locator, we're just not gonna do it.
Got to do it.
Yeah, and somebody say, you know, I'm not saying they would, but I could see an employee saying, well, crying out loud, we're gonna have to sit here and wait. Well, we can sit a long time for $3,000.
That's what I'm thinking.
We just don't need to incur it again if we can help it, so.
Now, having said that, I am gonna get a hold of CenturyLink or whoever I need to, because I'm coming across phone lines that I can see laying in the ditch.
Yeah.
And if our motor grader slides off into one,
Right.
it damages them. you know, they're gonna try and hold us.
Well, and with that discussion we had, they were talking about every time you plow a road with snow, you gotta call 811 and wait. No way.
Well, they've got a statute out now that annually, that you're supposed to do a ticket request to go out and do some light surface grading. And I did that here about 2 weeks ago, and they don't have that system. All the kinks, so they told me you'll just have to call back.
That's crazy.
Well, if the commissioners need to draft a letter on your behalf to CenturyLink and say, hey, you gotta get these phone lines out of these borrow ditches, and this thing of laying them on the ground is not gonna work. Exposed phone lines doesn't work for us.
We're gonna have to figure something out, because the one on 323 is, from the shoulder of the road, it's only down in the ditch maybe 12 inches deep, and you can see it exposed down there. So. And we can't really properly maintain the road with phone line that's only about 12 inches below the shoulder of the road.
Laying on the surface.
It's laying on the surface, yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, we gotta get them up there.
Yeah, we probably should
Patrol
at
these
least
roads.
make them aware of that, which I think you're saying
And Rogers told me in the past that he's brought it to their attention, but he's not gotten any results. They won't go out and do anything about it, so I'm not sure.
well, again, I think documentation would be huge there in case something does happen. We can say, hey, these are the dates we called and contacted you specifically about this phone line being on the exposed ground, and then we maybe avoid these $3,000 deals.
I'll do just that, because I want to do whatever it takes to avoid any kind of charges that we could have in the future.
But we do know this occurs occasionally, and nobody's really getting in a huff about it. You know, these things happen, we're human.
I had an individual ask me to ask you, I drive Hermit Road every day practically. Is the plan to chip seal that this year? Hermit?
Yes. Of all the roads that we've got, that's priority for me, based on the condition that it's in.
Yeah, it's getting worse every day, it seems like.
So I'm
Nobody
thinking
lives
that
on
we'll
Hermit
be doing
Road,
our
Tom.
chip seal late July, early August, and it'll be a chip seal. If nothing else does, it will.
Yeah, you know, interestingly enough, to your point, there's only one residence on Hermit Road that's paved. But it's sort of a feeder to a lot of other residences, so.
Oh, yeah, traffic count proves that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they just were concerned that it was getting rougher and rougher, and patches were falling apart. And
Yeah, it is, so,
I told them I would ask, so that is on your schedule for
absolutely.
2019. Okay. Anything else, gentlemen? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Would you be okay with us taking a short break for the restroom?
You
With,
can tell them.
if there are no
I agree.
Commissioner Prince, we'll take a 5-minute recess.
I noticed you didn't ask Gary to go take care of my driveway.
No.
I checked with Donna, they do get reimbursed. So the treasurer sends a bill and then
There you go.
For the fire
and it
department.
gets put into the road bridge fund.
Look
Thank
at
you.
her.
Follow that up.
Put it out.
That, by golly, is an effective and
That was
efficient.
almost a Brenda thing.
It was.
I probably wouldn't have done it. Be like, well, yeah, whatever, they can go ask.
You still here, you lean on it.
Did we get a prior report from DHS? I did not find one in the packet or in the email.
I sent it, Laura sent it to me like Monday, was it? Friday late
I'll
Friday
find
or
it,
Monday.
I couldn't find it.
And I forwarded it.
Okay. I'm
Did
sure you did, that's why I'm asking.
You can just add a note, like, if you go way to the top and it says add item, you could just say recess. 5-minute recess or whatever. And then just,
At the same time.
save. So if you scroll down, it'll be at the bottom.
Oh, right there.
Yeah, so, and then when they start back again, just hit the record on the
And then next.
item. Can you pass me the Xerox file folder? And you can file this in alphabetical order. No, I didn't. Okay.
Not now, that's true. But, in the past, they did start just
Quite a good amount. I thought we were buying fuel for the fire department.
I think that was great that you even caught that and brought it up, because I didn't even think about it.
There's also something to think about with the water
I
during
saw it on there, I
fires
just
too.
didn't pay attention.
I don't know if y'all
It's just nice
talked
to think
about it.
of.
Who pays for that water?
Yeah. And so,
Who's gonna pay for those water tenders?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that
That might be the next
discussion
See
came
ya.
up.
during the Adobe fires.
So they reimburse it, huh?
Yes.
I cannot find
That makes sense.
Laura Lockhart's.
Oh. It had a funky number on it.
Oh, yeah, then I do have it.
D8016.
I thought it had a crazy
I
number.
changed mine to DHS report.
Let's see, yeah, I think I have this. Now, it did have a strange number, I remember, and it was just a one-pager.
Well, I thought it was a one pager. It's
Oh.
not.
It's more?
I didn't scroll down. I got yelled at yesterday about that.
It wasn't me.
You want me to send it to you?
Please, because I am having a heck of a time.
Who was doing the yelling?
I could put a name to it, but we might still be recorded.
See, my last 2 weeks, I'm sort of,
I can't, the day Brenda Lee is anything that's wrong, you know who did it.
From then on.
From then on.
yeah.
George Bush did it.
I am just not finding
I'm looking here, sir. I had filed mine away. Here it is.
I can try and find it and resend it.
And it's under the
Do it
packet.
for us.
Oh,
Save it
yeah.
under the board packet.
And then I can just resend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just send it to you from my packet too.
I'll find it. I'm just not looking in the right place. I'll find it. I remember reading, well, I thought it was only one page, so there it is.
I did
No.
too, and I read the one page and I thought, wait a minute, is that it?
Jay, I'll just
Frame
resend it
number
to
with a
you.
long number on it.
He's got it. I think he said he found it.
I can resend it, Jay, if you need.
Were you out in the hall on the phone?
No, I made the mistake of going to my office.
Okay, then I'm not gonna yell at you.
Wasn't in the packet.
No, it wasn't in the packet because I got it after. I think I got it.
I don't have it. One heck of a time.
What was Laura's report?
I just sent
I
it
got
to you.
Did you?
Yeah. I know.
Thank you. Are we good?
Yep. Subject line.
Call the meeting back to order. I want to welcome Mr. Roger for his first inaugural VSO report. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's a historic day.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Did you get your vehicle situated after
Yes, it is still in the shop.
your mishap?
$10,000 worth of damage.
What happened? I missed that.
My wife hit a deer
Oh,
right about 2 miles from the house. Drove it on home, but then when she got there, I could see that it was
radiator damage and all.
Yeah, radiator was fractured and
Oh, boy.
hood, side panels,
Headlights.
Deer committed suicide.
He ran off apparently unharmed.
Oh, you darn. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so that was kind of a strange day, but
Yeah, these vehicles, they just don't tolerate
Anything.
no.
impacts very well without costing a lot of money.
I had a '53 Chevy that I restored, and one day Toyota hit me, totaled the Toyota and bent my bumper a little bit.
Yeah. Well, how are you?
Doing well.
Good,
Doing well.
good. How's things across the way? I haven't been over there to see you, and I apologize for
That's
that.
okay. I believe that things are going very well. In
Good.
fact, I've got the report for the
Thank you,
state,
sir. Okay.
and it has been busy.
Has it?
It
Good.
has, and I'm very pleased with that. You never know when you come into a new situation where there's been an established and successful guy in the chair before you how things are going to go. But I have to say I'm very pleased.
lot of acceptance, a lot of guys coming in, just wanting to introduce themselves, just wanting to make sure their claim is still in process, that sort of thing. And so I feel like we've already developed some relationships, especially with the gentlemen who are in charge of the American Legion BSO for the trust fund. So that seems to all be in place and uninterrupted.
Good.
Mr. Phelps and I have worked out some sort of logistical stuff so that, because a lot of guys come in when I'm there and have trust fund stuff they want to submit. And of course, John's there on a Monday and I'm not there. So we're finding our way to get that from my hands to his.
Good.
So I think it's been a pretty positive situation. Feel very good about it.
Good.
So any complaints about not being able to get a hold of you?
No, nothing like that. Everyone seems to have picked up on my outgoing message on the phone system when I'm there, and everyone, I have lots of voicemail, and they all make reference to the fact I know you're there Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Call me when you get back.
Yeah. Saw that.
So, and the report that I send up to the state we have there, and I'm very happy with the numbers of telephone and office calls you see there. And of course, Tim being sort of out of the loop or out of the picture for the month of December, those numbers were quite low, understandably. So we've got those back up to a respectable amount. I only worked a grand total of 7 or 8 days in January, so those numbers are even, given that that's how many days we were in place, I think those numbers look pretty good.
Good. What's your feeling about our facility over there? It seems like it's functioning? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's functioning. I think that the building itself could benefit and be more used to the community with some modifications, which you and I briefly discussed. But it's a little awkward with the office being within earshot, meetings going on outside. That's controllable, which you and I talked about a little bit, and I think that's very doable. But if you wanted to really make that facility a little more user-friendly, things could be done to sort of shield that office and provide those guys with better privacy than they have.
I wonder if there would be a chance to put up a wall, sheetrock it, put a door in it from the edge of the wall by the kitchen, angled over to the right side of the door going into the bathroom. Just a privacy wall, with a door and maybe one window so you could still have visual contact. I think that would be a ton of money. There are other meetings that occur in there frequently in there.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few meetings going on as I'm leaving, or happening at various times, and I think it would help.
You think that would be too restrictive? Would it cramp you down into a smaller space, or you think it'd still be functional?
I think it would improve the functionality.
I just have a suspicion. I mean, certainly I'm not bringing anything to a vote today, just a conversation about it wouldn't take much to build a wall. I think we can get a door probably donated if we're not real particular about the right-hand or left-hand swing. I've always felt like it was very awkward for you to be back in that office and people going in there and other people coming in and out.
Why would you not want to do this today? I mean, it's not an expensive thing.
No, I think $200 probably
There's
would
nothing
do it.
more that, I mean, I can't think of anything more important than out there turns. I mean,
Does that
put it off.
isolate the coroner's office? I don't know. I'm trying to visualize.
I think he could still go through there, couldn't he? Maybe knock and go on through. It would isolate it. You're exactly right.
I would be, or the DSO would be contained in the same space he has exactly now,
corner could
Just
still
more
pass
privacy.
through
Right.
that. It's virtually unchanged for him except one more door to pass.
Wouldn't have to
through.
be a lockable, I mean, could be, but you wouldn't require that door to be locked, would you? I mean, not a
No,
big
it
deal.
would just be kind of a, keep the free flow of it down.
Well, let me throw this out, why, one, I brought it up, from day one, that's been brought to my attention, I'm sure it has to you guys too, about,
Discussed it also.
when you do, I think that kitchen needs to come out of there.
Right.
Which would certainly open up some more quote-unquote office floor space, but, Mr. Chris, our maintenance individual, not that he walks around looking for things to do, but I think there's gonna be times when he has some downtime. If he is comfortable with that, I think that would be a project that we could look at doing. And then that wall would not preclude us from, if that's what we decide to do, is taking that kitchen out of there anyway and making another office in there. I don't think we'd be wasting our money to put up a wall, a privacy wall at this point.
I agree. I think it would be a plus for the building and its usability.
I guess we ought to look at, you wanna keep that big picture in mind, because it does need to go out there, and if we put a wall up, is it gonna, we gotta design it so the wall
Right.
accommodates that
Right.
eventual use, get
Yeah.
a plan together.
Right. But by consent, I would certainly recommend us move forward with that, and I would take the lead on that and visit with Chris about it, if you guys are okay.
Sure,
with
let's
that.
see what's gonna cost.
You think that's reasonable, Roger? I mean, I don't wanna be doing something that you say, that's gonna be a waste of money, if we do this, that's gonna be wasted or whatever, but
Trying
I
to
think-
help you and your veterans.
yeah.
Let me ask this, right now, you get a bunch of veterans come in at the same time, where do they all sit, waiting for their turn? So if we put a
At the
wall up,
tables in the
right,
front.
so if that's gonna put a wall up, is that gonna interfere with some flow? Cause there could be another meeting going on where they would normally sit, because the wall would constrain them. I mean,
Right.
there's things you gotta think about.
It won't compress their, where they kind of
When you
hang
do your
out.
Their
business.
waiting room, basically.
See, cause we were already getting the same thing we're wrestling with right here in this strategic planning thing. A veteran was there last night saying he wants a veteran center, a standalone building that isn't shared by anybody, which is really the ultimate goal, is to take care of it, right?
Tim had actually, I think, he
Right.
probably were where he had looked at
Sure.
a couple of buildings.
And I think we were even considering what we would do when we do our justice center, and we do all the big remodel, and where is the VSO gonna go eventually?
And that was when Tom brought up the wall, my first thought was, well, we're gonna do the Justice Center, we could make better accommodations at that time. But that
That's
could
5
be-
years down the road.
That's why I said,
The wall thing could happen
the
this
wall
month.
could happen
Right.
immediately,
Right.
and if it.
And it isn't enough of an expense
Right.
to
Exactly. That's
forego
why I-
once you were.
As long as it doesn't crowd them up and make them feel,
Yeah, if we
feel
had
even
to
worse
tear
than
it
they
out,
do
it
now.
wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be an issue for
No, I
us.
think
I just think the privacy thing, and I happen to know the individuals at Valley Ace, I think we put their finger in the vise and crank on hard enough, they'll probably find a window we could put in there and maybe a door, but. So I'll talk to Chris, if that's all right, gentlemen, and
I'm all for it.
I also wanted to mention to you that the search has, as you know, now included the forms, the application and the job description forms out to every VSO in the state through the State Department of Veterans Affairs.
Good.
And I have had a couple of inquiries directed to me, I think simply because they thought, I'll just call Roger.
Right.
It's fine.
Sure.
So
Good.
Even this morning, I had a call from someone who works at the state level who would like to move down here.
Wow, good. I know Miss Donna said that an individual came in and picked up an application. One person, that's all I'm aware of at this point, but
And that individual came and spoke to me,
good.
and we had a very positive conversation. I actually think he'll end up being a very, very good candidate.
Good.
Another gentleman out in California, actually would like to come back and be with his parents.
Pretty cool.
And just for everybody's refresher memory, I think we had a discussion, I don't think anything's been decided, but there was some discussion that the commissioners would include you in that interview process. And then there were a couple other individuals that indicated they wanted to be on that as well.
The
Two others.
services, the veteran
So-
services offices.
Right.
Mr. Phelps spoke of that to me,
Okay.
and he's very agreeable. I am agreeable, and would love to be able to assist you guys in whatever way possible in that.
And I think Randy Knight also indicated he would like to be part of that process. So
Mhm.
I think certainly that's more than enough people, but we want to include the right people. So by consent, I would think we could decide, agree that when we can all get together and do those interviews, let's include those two gentlemen.
Yes.
The four of us. Is
Mhm.
that reasonable?
Yep.
Happy to do it.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and I'll move that we accept the Colorado Department of Military and Veteran Affairs County Veteran Services Office's monthly report and certification of pay for the County of Custer, month of January 2017.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded that we approve the 2019, or January 2019 VSO report. Discussion. Flower with no S.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no problem.
I will fix that.
Yeah.
Not an O-U-R either.
Roger with a G.
That's right. Hearing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries.
And I suppose you heard about the Blue Water Navy getting the overturning of the VA's stance on if you didn't have a boot on the ground in Vietnam, you can't get disability compensation for Agent Orange-related diseases.
Just sitting out in the bay didn't count.
Yeah, now it does. They can appeal,
Yeah.
but I think they'll lose if they do appeal. Wow. That makes about 90,000 current and previous claims look a lot better for these guys.
Wow.
Talked to the VA the other day, and they assured me that they were sending out letters to all guys in the Navy who had ever, Blue Water guys who had ever applied.
Good.
Interesting. All right, sir, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in. Have a great day. Anything we can do for you, just give us a holler.
All right,
Make any
Burn
issues come
on.
up.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Well, thank you.
Coming in. Thank you for your report ahead of time. Appreciate that.
Yep.
I like that process.
Good.
I'm not worried about writing something 5 minutes before I get here.
Yeah. Good.
Pardon me. So it's been an eventful, actually it's been 2 months since I've been here. I think last one was the 5th of December.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been quite eventful. As much of the software renewals and tech and such as I could, I put on last year's budget to help with this year. The biggest project that we've completed here is the high-speed internet from our building being broadcast via Hulu transmitters over to the public health office right now. They were running on 4 megabytes up, 4 megabytes down, shared throughout that entire building, which is ridiculous, absolutely. And it's another story entirely why that is, but that's beyond the scope of this report here. But I was able to give them 48 up and 48 down, piggybacking on our fiber from here. So that's, oh yes, it is. It is quite. They said that they would try to do video conferencing, which public health does apparently a lot of conferencing calls and whatnot, and it would constantly be buffering and whatnot. Yeah. So even right now, just as an idea, we are paying $1,014 a month for theoretically 100 megabytes up, 100 megabytes down. In reality, it comes out to be about 94 to 93. Even with everybody live streaming up and down and watching it throughout the building.
Watch a full-length feature film.
Right, exactly. We are running
I just did a check before I came over here, 90 up and, or excuse me, 90 down and 86 up. Even with everybody watching this and live streaming it up to the net. So it's a pretty nice system, a little, and it's just changed things completely for us in the, and it's a lot more stable. I still get notifications from CCOM every day saying, "Oh my goodness, we're down here, we're down there, slow speeds here, slow speeds there." So it's changed everything dramatically.
Can you talk to us about the money involved in doing this over to public health?
So it cost approximately, there were several radio transmitters involved, and the consulting, which we talked about, for Mr. Travis Roundtree, that brought all this tech to my attention. It cost approximately $350. Yeah, it was.
That's why when Vern came in and had a discussion, I said, I think I can speak on behalf of the commissioners that money is
well spent.
Well spent.
Yeah, boy.
Good deal. And like I said, I was able to get that on last year's budget too. So
correct, yeah, that wasn't on 2019.
This was a pretty nice little system.
Thanks for doing that.
I did want to give a shout out to Travis Roundtree. He's a gentleman here with a small communications business. I've introduced him to Cindy Howard in regards to emergency EOC communications. He's developed some cool little pieces of tech that we can use in the future, possibly. So
he's the one who wears a little flat.
He's the one, yeah, the flat brimmed hat and runs around.
Flat hatters.
Exactly.
He may not appreciate that, but nonetheless.
He's retired military, disabled veteran, and he runs a little communication business here in Custer County. I have also received approval from the sheriff to move forward with the project that I outlined. I haven't talked about it a whole lot. I only have one print off. I'll get you this in a second. To broadcast high-speed internet from the sheriff's office over to search and rescue. It'll save us approximately $140 a month, and we can cancel the DSL line over the search and rescue office, as well as a telephone line too. In the future, if we want to go completely digital over there, we could save $400 or $500 if we canceled all those lines. So
I didn't know they had that.
Just OEM and Search and Rescue shares a DSL line over at Search and Rescue. But I have also, I already bought the tech last year.
That's probably a real limited line.
It is. I think it's about 10 megabytes up, 10 megabytes, or 5 megabytes down tops. So it's a pretty small, slow speed system. But I was able to get permission from the sheriff to beam high-speed wireless from his office, or from that building over to the other, and that'll save us approximately $130 a month right off the bat, for an investment of $140 worth of tech in my office already. The other project that is in the future will be to beam high-speed wireless to the resource center. We spend $126.99 on a telephone line and DSL over to the resource center for the VSO, and I also have the tech to eliminate that as well. So,
and by resource center, you mean the annex?
Yes, the annex building, which houses the VSO and the corner. So.
And the other.
Yes, exactly.
And you have the equipment to do that?
I already have the equipment to do that, yes. I bought it all together because...
As much as he does with the state, I mean, that's just all online. It just seems like a no-brainer.
Exactly. And I worked with Tim before he left. I did install a new VSO computer before Tim left. I don't know if I put that in there.
You didn't.
Okay. It was painfully slow, just logging into all of his sites that he would go to, and I had to make certain that the new computer had all the software installed to run those sites, or to access those sites. So it was slow. So in the future it will be a lot faster. I did want to ask and bring to your attention the possibility of doubling our internet speed, since we're supplying all of these. For an extra $200, we could double our internet speed from 100 megabytes to 200
It'll be about $12.20 a month.
But do we use it? What?
Well, with all of these, if we are going to be
It's a lot.
supplying, I understand, if we're going to be supplying the clinic, we can, in fact, maybe shave off some of that bill from, for public health there and make up that difference, make up that money.
So the $100 that we're gonna save from search and rescue, cutting out their DSL line will pay for half of this?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Well, you had
And-
talked about total, if you got rid of all those lines we didn't need, we're talking $700-800 a month, right?
Yeah, we're looking between, saving between at least $500 to $700 a month. I just got permission from the sheriff to cancel 2 lines and integrate those into our 2 lines at the sheriff's office, which will save us approximately $210, $220. Bundling all of them into the fiber and moving that way. So I'm just throwing it out there. We don't need to make a decision now.
I don't know why we wouldn't do it, but I'm
Well, that's the
wondering.
same kind of question we have
Okay.
all. I mean, why would put these things off? Is
The only point is if we saved, the only thing difference would be it's 100 megabytes a lot, and you're doubling it to 200. And so,
but you're adding more peripherals to it.
right, well, that's what I'm asking. Are we absorbing 100 megabytes without anyway?
Well, like I said, right now, with us uploading and downloading and everybody watching this meeting right now, we're running 90 down and 86 up.
Okay, so you're at.
I just ran a C-Com test online.
Uh-huh.
While we were talking, it was 39. Which is the first one?
39 down.
39 down and 45 up.
That may be because this wireless is limiting it, and I just found that out.
Curious.
I just found that out that the wireless at the sheriff's office is actually limiting in a lot of cases, and that's part of next month's project is to eliminate some of the old wireless systems and, pardon me, integrate these new ones that are faster.
So on that 100 megabits, back to the same question, that we're going to also be able to accommodate the clinic.
The clinic, exactly.
So it's reasonable to do that.
One of the reasons why their costs are so high is because they have both on-site servers and off-site servers. If they were to go to, which they have to communicate, and they're constantly, my sister's IT over there, so they're constantly moving files around, trying to shuffle things for space and for bandwidth.
Right,
to
they're
deal with
doing
that
real-time data to
Right.
doctors and other places.
If they had that real time, they could eliminate a lot of their upfront costs
Right.
and go to a cloud-based service, and it would be much more cost-effective.
So that's not going to
So
hurt
that was
them to
part
help
of this
share the
project.
cost anyway.
Exactly.
So, just kind of bring me back to where we were.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna save 100. The suggestion is 200 additional expense for double the bandwidth.
Right?
$200, of which 100 would come from OEM.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you have others that you could cut out.
Yes.
So ultimately, by doubling the bandwidth, you'll actually save money because we can cut out other DSL lines and other lines that are really.
That's correct.
And the clinic
Absolutely.
would help pay
I
for
see
some
no
of it.
reason
And the
not to
clinic
just
would
say,
help pay
go for it.
I just want a point of clarification, I could be
Please.
wrong here. When
Yeah,
you said
please do.
100 would come from OEM, that's not really correct. It would be $100 less that we pay for OEM's service, right, that DSL line.
Yes.
They're not gonna give us 100.
But
talking
actually,
about-
search and rescue does pay.
Okay.
Search and rescue does pay the county for part of their the DSL bill. Yes,
Why?
they do. Because we supply it for OEM and search and rescue, and they help share the cost.
They had to have it anyway, Jay.
Well, I'm just wondering, I mean, they're a county organization. We don't ask the rodeo.
Well, but OEM is sort of an independent, different animal.
Okay. Anyway, it sounds to me
SAR
like
is under the
the
sheriff.
amount of money we'll save will be considerably
Yeah,
Right, I don't have a
greater
problem.
than the amount it will
But
cost.
the only other question is, so when we move to the Justice Center in the future,
Mhm.
we're going to have whatever
Different
these
animal.
requirements can transfer, and maybe we ought to be able to.
I feel that we should, moving to the Justice Center, I feel that we should have a dedicated fiber line.
Right.
Which in our valley, a dedicated fiber line peaks out at 500 megabytes a second for $1,700 a month, is the quote they just gave me.
It's down the road.
It's down the road,
Down
we're
the
thinking
road.
of the future.
And the cost of these will help.
And then make a whole new system up.
Right,
Exactly.
and in fact, one of the things, Jay, they talked about the DOT on this, connecting the CenturyLink down the hardscrabble and stuff. If we do that, they're proposing that the county gets in kind some dedicated fiber lines out of it, including the big one he's talking about.
That'd be beautiful.
So we may not end up paying anything in the future, but that's to be determined.
It's down the road, yeah.
Right.
Okay, but.
Well, I sure don't have a problem with you moving forward with doubling our bandwidth. I mean, I just think the money, it's not a money issue because we're gonna save more than that eventually when we start abandoning these DSL lines.
Right.
We don't
Also the possibility exists to convert certain telephone lines into digital, for instance, Magic Jack or something like that, which would also eliminate $50 a line too. So there's that possibility for both search and rescue, OEM, and veteran services.
So you got that on there.
You got some
Those
wiggle
are
room in your
possibilities.
budget.
Say again?
You got some wiggle room in your budget.
So I don't see, we don't,
Okay.
consensus, or if you wanna vote on it, I don't care, it works either way.
I'd say consent, it's just.
He's doing his job.
Yeah,
and
he's just
doing
doing his
within
job
what
and
he's
coming
doing,
to us with
and
some
saving
things
his
that
money,
he's
it's just
recommending.
Yeah.
I don't think we need a vote, I think, thanks for finding it, for doing it, and improving our services.
Yeah, I just haven't had anybody come and say, man, Vern is dropping the ball on this or that. I mean, I just think you're doing a
Yeah.
good job. And
I do drop the ball, but I
so-
pick it up as fast as I
And
can.
don't tell them.
That's right.
Well, we have a question too, by the way.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the clinic, when you say your beaming technology,
Mhm.
the internet over there, is that to the whole clinic? Or
Right
just
now,
to?
right now it's to public health.
Okay,
Eventually, it will get to the whole clinic.
and they will pay for that, right? I mean, they
Right.
will,
I certainly would expect that we
Yeah.
like,
ask them.
as in the gas for the fire department?
Just like they're sharing now their cost for.
Because that's a
rent.
special district.
That's true,
Well,
yes.
no, the point's well taken, I mean, we're paying rent over at their spot, and if
Right.
we provide service, they would reimburse us. That's right. Plus they let us there for a very long time without it, so, not gonna go off the
But-
deep end.
Exactly right. I would expect the commissioners to make a proposal to the clinic, yes.
Right.
4 up and 4 down is what the clinic's getting or what
That's what-
public health is getting?
That is what the clinic is getting, that public health was
We're
shared.
sharing a part, using a part of that. So that is just absolutely
Exactly.
insane. And I tell you, Lisa will be thrilled if and when that ever happens. I think she understands,
I
so.
can't wait to help her out.
It is an interesting situation that they are in. They are in a contract with a brokerage company, I believe it's called CTN, that they pay a subscription service for this company to supply cheaper high-speed internet communications to them, and that company utilizes CenturyLink. However, and also find grants for that communication. But what has evolved is basically a dysfunctional relationship wherein they pay through the nose twice. And so they're paying CTN as well as paying CenturyLink, and CTN is actually limiting. I mean, is actually their equipment, and I didn't understand this until I went over there to start the process of hooking up the internet. And I find that they're actually limiting that bandwidth, and so they're in complete control of it. There is no 4 up, 4 down, unless there's a gatekeeper there controlling the data flow. So that's part of the process of trying to get them the internet. Is I have to find my way through their firewalls in order to supply that, and not keep CTN in the process, which they're divorcing from CTN anyway. So it's a process, and that's why it's not happened actually yet. So.
Well, whatever all that meant, I'm glad you do it.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
Public health is happening now.
Plus, public health is happening right now.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, good.
And they're in the process of upgrading all their systems, and we are having a fun time with it.
Nice.
Good
All right.
job.
Okay.
Thank you.
Laura.
Motion to adjourn or, oh no, we couldn't.
No, you
Wouldn't
can,
dare.
I don't
Let's
really
try it,
care.
let's try it.
You just go right ahead, I don't care.
Good morning, how are you?
Wow. How is everybody today?
Great, things are going the right direction, in my opinion, anyway.
Well, that's good. I don't have much. That's good. All of the contracts have been signed and all of that good stuff, so I don't have to have you do any of that. So we can just review these,
Okay.
and if you're on the first,
I can find it.
you can
You
find
never
it.
did? She emailed it to you. Did you check your email?
I just
Meredith
emailed it.
did.
Oh, did you? Well, thank you.
So we'll give Jay a minute. You all right?
I got it.
Okay. While we're waiting for Jay to pull up his docs, how's your personnel search going?
It's going.
Slow.
It's slow, but we interviewed 2 people in the last one yesterday, and so we're gonna make a determination here within the next week. So, this is on our, trying to still get a caseworker, so we're hoping that we're gonna get that worked out.
I get the sense when I go in your office that it's very upbeat, positive atmosphere. Seems
Oh,
like
we're
everybody's-
positive every day, even though it's just
Wow.
sliding under the table some
Could
days.
you write that down so we can all share that secret of how
I'll
that
tell you,
works?
because of that government shutdown, they wanted to get food benefits out to people early. So we had just, Rhonda and I just got done, because when Social Security does their COLA match change, it could be, increase January 1st, there's cases that have that don't update like they're supposed to on our end. So we have to go in and manually update these, put in the new incomes in and everything else. Usually it's not too bad, but lately it does it for adult financial, it does for food, and it does it for med. We have a lot of medical cases. We had probably 60 cases that we had to go in and update, manually update. So we just get done with that, and then they say, now we need you to process all of these redeterminations and stuff and get them done by the 15th of February. So it was just like, seriously? But we got it done, and so people got their benefits earlier in February. If they were on redeterminations, if they were ongoing, they got them early. They're telling us now everything should be good. If there's another shutdown, we'll have to see. There should be good through the end of March. So, but then we may have to process the March benefits by the 15th of the month again. So, yeah, it's just been kind of crazy, and we've had a lot of people in. It's cold. We've had a lot of leave applications in. A lot of people can't work. A lot of food assistance applications coming in. So we're trying to be upbeat. So I'm glad you think we are.
Seems like it to me.
We just muddle through, Okay, did you find it?
I'm here, we're
Oh, great.
up and running. Thank you. Thank you.
So this one,
Yeah.
this one is the end of the December, because that's what we're doing. So as you can see, we did okay, and we were at 90% on our admin, which was, I was worried about that since we had so much travel and stuff. Andy, we were over by $325 because they did some weird increase that I wasn't expecting, but it's.
Can I interrupt you
Sure.
just for a second?
Oh, go
ma'am?
ahead.
Sure.
Sure.
We just want to say hi.
Hi, gentlemen.
You wanna
Sorry
say
to
thanks?
interrupt.
Yeah.
She just finished a meeting down at Rancher's Roost for the economic development.
It was a great meeting. We,
Was it good?
I brought you your vision, and I brought you your bill. For
Yeah.
someone else, not
Why
for
don't
me.
you take the bill and leave the vision? We're
It
good.
was only $85.
Oh, well then.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So yeah, in return for his
And
course.
how much time did you spend? Was it 3 hours, 2 hours?
It was 2 hours.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 2
They,
hours.
seemed happy with the amount of time.
They do, and we talked about those extra meetings that we had talked about, and they're not sure they need a third one,
Good.
but they're sort of holding it in reserve. So
Okay.
yeah, we got a lot done today.
Good.
We finished some priorities and determined the values, and so
Good.
it's a good thing.
A good crowd. It was, I mean, good group.
Yeah, good group,
And
lots
they
of
were engaged,
representation. Yeah, absolutely. So that vision, I don't know, I'm just a fan of that work, so it's a beautiful document.
Well,
There it is, it's all
we will laminate it and hang it behind us, and we'll bow to it every day.
I like that. That's perfect. Make it basins. Leave it flowers and oranges. Yeah, but thank you guys for all
Well,
your
thanks
help
for-
and participation. I think everybody notices that you've been there and you've been participating. I think that's a big deal.
We'll be in touch.
Yeah, thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No,
Oh, that's okay.
Everybody else does.
Very well. In
Yeah,
that
well,
case, I'll
thank
just
you.
wander right on in next time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
I will.
thanks,
Thank
Sharon.
you, ma'am, I appreciate that. I hope you didn't mind.
Oh, I
She's
don't
getting
care.
ready to head back.
No, I don't care.
Collins, so.
You could've kicked me out. I could care
She'd
less.
be happy, actually.
Yeah, I would. I certainly would, so. So anyhow, we came out good on that. We did, stepped a little bit on the A&D program, but that's not a big deal.
And the daycare,
Well, in the daycare, that is, we just come up with our amount, the $6,106, and then the rest, which we did a long time ago,
Mhm.
and then the rest of it is at 100%.
okay.
So, yeah.
Good.
And that's what happens with the town too. We come up with the 15,000, and then after that, it comes out of the allocation that I have, and so. And then if there's not enough money in the allocation, I can always mitigate. But I've never mitigated, daycare, and I've only mitigated TANF one time. So, anyhow, there we go on that.
Could you just give us a couple of examples about the dollars spent on the old age pension? What's that paid for?
Oh, it's for basic living expenses.
Okay.
They use it for whatever.
Okay.
Pay rent, utilities.
So it's not like somewhere they give you a bill for the gas, propane, and you pay it. It's a
No.
fixed figure,
it's a-
and they can use it
Yes,
for living
it's a,
expenses.
yeah, it's for whatever. We have some who receive some social security or SSI, but it's the level on, they raised the level now, it's $802 or some crazy thing. Anyhow, so we'll match that up to that amount.
Like state social security, basically.
It kind of sort of is, yes.
So it runs between $2,000 and $3,000.
Yeah, and anybody that's 60, we can put them on until they're eligible for them, age-wise, for Social Security, because you have to be 62 to get Social Security, and we require them at age 62, they have to apply for Social Security requirement. So they have
And
to
then
do
this stops, OAP stops once they get
it
on.
can stop, or we can also, if, let's say they only get 600, then we're gonna make up the difference between the 8 and the 6.
Okay.
So that's how that works.
Or not any.
Or not, or if it's too much, then they just go off.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how that works.
So old age in your world with AOP starts at 60.
60, starts at 60.
So
So you
anybody
guys,
else
you
can
guys are
almost
ready.
sign up.
Sorry, I'm way beyond that. I've got my
When you get into the 80s,
I got 3 years to go.
You do not, I know how old you are.
That's right.
Good.
Keep trying.
John Rusher tried that one day when
Did he?
he was telling some people that he wasn't such and such age.
Yeah.
I said, you know,
Wait a
John,
minute.
Can't fool me.
I
Fool some of the people,
know
some of
how
the time.
old you are, and he
But
thought
not
about
all
it.
the people.
And he goes, well, yes, you were. He was the same age as my brother Gary, so I knew exactly
exactly
how
how
old
old
he was. And he goes, you know, you're the only person in here that's gonna know that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
do, so try that with me, buddy. That's funny.
Big disparity on the leap for the last 2 months of 18, huh?
Well, yeah, see, because the first payment comes out in November, but we start taking applications in October. So we actually have October and November applications coming in there. December, yeah, we didn't have a whole lot, and I don't know what we have so far this year, this month. But, yeah, in October and November, you're looking at 2 months of those hitting. And then I'll start on that one here. We've had a lot of people apply. They sent out a list of people that received it last year, the state did, that hadn't returned them. So Rhonda went through those and sent out a little reminder on them. And then all of a sudden we were getting more in, and I said, that's because you sent that out. And she goes, no, only one person that I sent the reminder to brought this in. This is just people that hadn't come in yet and stuff. But it got cold, and so we had people coming in. And then our community
service block grant.
And she just came up, Judy Gilkerson from UCall came up and monitored me. She has to do that yearly. And I got, it's not showing on here, but I got $4,000 some for, that will start in January. They don't have all of the money yet, so as they get more in, you'll see that next time. But yeah, I used 87% of what I had, and I could carry that over, so I had like 1,000 and something left. So that carried over, and so.
Again, December was a big hit versus
Oh, yeah. Yep.
the other
We had
months,
people needing to have help paying your utility bills because it was cold in December. Energy outreach, I had to ask them for they give me the money in allocations of quarters. And even though I asked for most of it up front, they don't always do that. But he told me, don't worry about it, if you need the, third quarter, just let me know and I'll advance it to you. And I had to do that because I was running low in December. But he did that, so no problem. So we're okay on that one. And then our Medicaid transportation is just a pass through, but I always put it in so you can see how much we spend on,
Well, it's work you do.
yeah, people that go up and down the hill for doctor's appointments. And then our food benefits, they were almost the same as in November, just a little bit different. That was, yeah,
It's a lot of money.
yeah. Oh,
Gotta be doing some people some good, huh?
when they were do this big push on the food benefits to get those out statewide by the 15th, it was amazing. The number that they were trying to get updated, and big counties like El Paso and some of those were struggling there. But yeah, the amount of the number and the dollar amount that they were trying, and the state people were working on cases to try to get them through too. So it was a big push, but it's amazing the dollar amount on that, it really is. Okay, and then our TFAB. We had a lot of people in December to pick up food, and it was Christmas time. But no, we had a fair amount of commodities that month, and so we had a lot of people picking up commodities that month.
Well, what's the difference between food assistant and TFAB?
TFAB is excess food that they have, and they just send it down to us, and then we issue it out. You have an income guideline on that too, but it's anything from peanut butter and canned peaches to we had pork chops last time, but it's usually dry products, cereal, that type of stuff. And then we get it, and we had potatoes, we had bags of potatoes. We got so many potatoes that got hold of the sheriff center, they came up and took a bunch of them. And so that worked great. It was supposed to be a quarter of a pallet, and I got a whole pallet. But I just got, we had potatoes everywhere. And everybody was noticing, everybody was noticing it in the scale house,
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, they're all gone, and I said, it's funny, it smelled worse on your side than it did on this side. I thought that was so weird.
It was weird.
But yeah, I got ahold of the sheriff center and they came down and, well,
They
it's
were
just,
wet.
when we got them, the bags, they were in this big crate thing, but the outside bags, and then there was, I don't know if there was 12 or 10, a huge bag. They were 10-pound bags, and it wrapped up in a huge thing, and there was 10 of them in each big wrap. And those wraps were wet. So we took them out, laid them out, just to kind of get those potatoes dry. And of course there was some in there. We were sifting through some of those, yeah. So that was, and we had so many.
It was quite odorous.
Yes.
Rotten potatoes.
Yeah, rotten potatoes are not good.
No.
But we got them out of there, and just getting them dry, getting them out of that wet stuff really helped. We laid them out. You couldn't even get in the door because we had potatoes laying out everywhere. And then they started to dry, and that helped. But then they started smelling, I don't know, like root cellar,
Yeah,
actually.
Sure, musty.
Musty. That's what
Yeah,
they,
musty.
it was a musty smell, just because they were starting to dry out, but yeah. So, anyhow, that's the type of stuff that we get, but yeah, we had potatoes that time, and we had a lot of people show up for that one. So, I think that's all I have, can't think of anything.
Okay, well, thank
Unless
you.
you have something,
Nope, look pretty straightforward. I really like the format of those
yeah.
report
Yeah.
forms, those are nice.
We need to do something with this top one, because it's giving me grief on the Excel spreadsheet, but that's not your issue.
No, don't really care about
No,
that.
I know you don't.
Be happy down there.
At all.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
See you later.
What'd you do with Clint today, you know?
Clint had a little health issue,
Yeah.
shortness of breath. I took him to the hospital.
Well, yeah,
He
let's-
stayed for testing, so he thinks he'll be here tomorrow.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Don't take chances on that. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item of unfinished business. Anything, gentlemen? Mr. Prince?
Yes, sir.
Nor do I. We'll move on to new business. Ambulance service license, we need to deal with that. RETAC is the entity at the county level in charge of the ambulances, and so they have provided us the documentation. I don't think we got that entire report back from the ambulance inspections, but it's here. There are the forms if you want to look through those. And
They're all
so,
right,
yes, is that one or two?
Looks like it's just,
Med 2.
this is that too.
Okay. And so these yellow cards will be cut up, laminated, they go in the ambulances themselves. And then these cards will also be posted in the ambulance barn. And so we need to, let me pull this out, Mr. Bill, and you can look. Sorry, there's the registration from Med 2.
Okay.
So this is just a documentation of the ambulance and what passed, didn't pass, what they needed to work on, and some notes. I went through these with Miss Cindy when she brought them over. Or sorry, Beth Archuleta.
I think it looks great.
Whoops, there's Med 4 here.
Let's go for that.
Okay.
I got the
You've
registration.
got Med 4, right? That goes with
Med
it.
3 here.
Oh, that I need back, sorry. Gave you the wrong pippa.
So you broke up the pack?
She just brought over these three. I'm just trying to get you the registration that goes with them. It calls for inspector's signature on these yellow cards.
That is you all.
And do we need to sign the white copies too?
No. I don't know why, and I don't know why the commissioners are involved with ambulances, because we aren't otherwise, but it's just something we do every year.
It's how they divided it up for some reason, and they didn't give it to us.
Just an oversight, I suppose.
Med 2. I would move that we approve the inspections of the three ambulances.
I'll second it.
It's moved and seconded to approve the ambulance inspections on Med 2, 3, and 4. Discussion? Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. I'll sign these real quick.
Did you say 1, 2, 3, and 4?
2, 3, and 4.
2, 3, and 4. I thought you said 4, but
Yeah.
I knew there was only 3, so I was a little confused.
Yeah.
Feeling okay?
Yeah. Just hanging out.
Yeah.
She's just, old time's sake here, just.
How is it
Meredith
just
is
to
doing
sit
all the
and
work,
bummer?
so-
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next item of business, proposal for additional funding for the strategic plan. Mr. Bill?
Yeah, just talk about it here for a second. we've got a few community meetings left, and we've got the task force coming up. Sort of based on what I've seen, you know, they're taking the time. You heard today that they got it done in a little over 2 hours. So, I don't know that we're going to need much, if any, and we can hold them to it, but I sure would like to have the option as we go down to be able to come back, at least to be able to say we're going to do it, and then if it looks like it's beyond what we allocate, then we'll have to talk about it separately. There's enough money in the fund, it's the outreach fund, the same one that we used for the Upper Ark. Aren't we doing that with discussion as well?
I don't know, we haven't really talked about
How
how
we
we're gonna
pay
pay for
for
that
that.
room rental. I think
An outreach. The
February 11th for Upper Arkansas, sorry, for the water public hearing.
Anyway, I got mixed emotions about it. I would like to see, because there is that enthusiasm, and I would like to have the flexibility to increase the time of the existing meetings that are there by an hour or so. And you know, we made the switch from the Wetmore meeting. We're not going to have a meeting down there on the task force issue. So
how much money are you anticipating?
$750.
And what's the entire scope of the project?
29,000.
29,000.
Well, actually, we have 31.
31 something.
Some 5, I believe.
I was looking at her.
45, right.
29.5 is her contract, and the total project, I think, is 31.5.
Okay,
Is
so
there
the
one-
project's 31.5.
Yes, 29.5 plus our 4,500.
And you're thinking we
No,
What it has here.
no. The 4,500
This
is
our share.
is our
It's our
share.
share, that's what
We
it's-
get 26 something from DOLA,
Yeah,
and then
that's right. That's
yeah.
So
And
it
so
was
the total project
31.5 was,
yeah.
her cost was 29.5.
Yes.
So we're at the right now. We've spent all but about $50, but we'll been allocated.
Okay, so the scope that I'm looking at is a little over 31,000 is the total project. And we're looking at potentially running over budget by about $800.
Yeah, if we don't have to, we can hold it to that. But I wanted to have the ability to, if these guys are, from what I saw, there's a lot of, we're going to get wrapped around the axle on a couple issues, and they're going to want to discuss it. And we really have got to ensure that the community feels that they had their fair share of time allocated. Not, well, we ran out of that. It was a good idea, but because we can't, we're going to shut the meeting down because that's all we're going to pay for.
And if we approve the additional 800, you want it to come from community outreach?
Yeah. That's, the reason I did that is because I went to Don and discussed it with him. We've got $20,000, I think, so what that is, and we've used to date about 300 plus whatever we're doing.
If I could just ramble for a second.
Sure. Just a discussion.
Yeah, in the scheme of things, I don't think $800 is very significant in the scheme of the project. I think it's a worthwhile project when you continue on, and you're not asking, not you, but I mean, the project's not requiring another 10 grand or anything. So,
And in the end, they could even get happy with it and not use it at all.
but conceptually, I'm not seeing a problem here, conceptually.
Yeah,
initially I thought because of I thought we'd need about 22 or $1,800 or something, but based on what I've seen and the fact that we swap one meeting out, we don't need to go to Wetmore.
Okay.
I think we can get by with $800 or less.
And the purpose of this money, additional money, would be for room rent primarily?
No, it's primarily her time.
Okay, not food for
No, not
participants?
food.
So her contract price of $29.5 would be escalated because we're asking for
Right,
additional
by
time and services.
$800. She would require that
for her time to
Does she
be
get
here.
an hour, do you know?
It's partly by the hour and it's partly by the block that she did. For example, today's thing with the other person that helped on the artwork was a price that was fixed.
Okay.
So it's a mix. So, but her rate, in order to do the extra hour, and some is gonna be around $800. So, and that included other graphics and other things that she's doing, and the time to go analyze the data.
Travel and all.
And the travel. And we're gonna try to do it at a time when she's gonna be here for a community meeting anyway. Save some money.
Well, I'll stick with my statement. I don't think $800 on a $31,500 project. We have the money available. I just can't see.
It fits
short-
the,
I can't, hang on a
take-
second.
yeah.
Hang on.
I'm just agreeing with you. I'm sorry, Chief.
I'm just saying, I can't see shortchanging the project if it's something that's actually needed by such a small amount of money in comparison to the overall scope of the project. I'm sorry, go for it.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I would move that we approve maybe up to $1,000
Sure.
initially to come out of community outreach. I forget the number of that line item, sorry. For additional expenses on the community economic development.
I'll second.
We move to second and authorize up to $1,000 additional expense, or to cover additional expenses with the economic prosperity plan discussion. Yeah, I don't have a problem with it either. I agree with Jay. I think it's not a huge amount of dollars. I've had a couple people come to me and say, because apparently they either read or watched from our last meeting about that you may be coming back to request that if this money was going to be used to buy food for people to come up, for the community to come and sit in the meetings. I said, I don't know, but I will ask, and that's why I asked. So,
Not in this case.
if it was part of the original grant money, I didn't have a problem with that. But
And we
above and
originally
beyond-
bought some drinks with that.
Okay.
But anyway, I agree.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of authorizing $1,000 to cover additional expenses on the economic development plan to be paid out of community outreach, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carries. Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So, we've called it a strategic plan, an economic development plan, and
That's
an economic prosperity
It's an
plan.
economic
What is it?
prosperity.
Yeah, the grant was
Economic
written.
prosperity
The
plan.
grant was
Okay.
an economic development grant.
Get that name.
I think,
The-
didn't you and Cheryl
the
come up with the prosperity
was in, because
thing?
it's not, when you say development,
Probably.
you've heard me say it
I
connotes
can-
the wrong thing.
My notes all say strategic plan, but
It is a strategic prosperity plan, is what they're gonna name it.
Instead of economic prosperity plan.
Well, yeah, kinda got renamed. Go ahead, Brenda, you have her. Come on in, sir.
I was just gonna say that, I checked with Christy Dune from DOLA, and when we ask for reimbursements, we can only ask for reimbursements for Cheryl's work. Like an invoice from Esperanto, we can't ask for
Right.
reimbursements for, room rent. or
No,
anything
that's
like
correct, that's
we're
why
gonna-
it's
we're
her
gonna pay
time.
for that.
Right.
I got that.
that. Yep.
Oh, I wanted to visit with you if you guys wanted. We're about done, but.
I'll wait for you.
Um,
I'll wait.
Yeah, originally the grant was written, it was called the Custer County Economic Development Strategic Plan. So somewhere along the way, it got moved over to prosperity.
But because there was
And,
confusion,
Trying to
trying to
make
separate
it more meaningful.
more meaningful for what it is,
Right.
and to separate it from what the Custer County Economic Development Corporation is, which is one of the reasons it was confused.
Good. Does that
All
answer
right.
your question, ma'am? So it's,
Yep.
I don't know what it's called now, other than prosperity plan. It's
Custer County Economic
Project.
Strategic Prosperity Plan. The
Okay.
Prosperity Strategic Plan.
Okay,
You
good.
got it. You got it.
Public comment? Hello, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
Excellent.
I do have a question for you. Are you attending the meeting this afternoon at 2?
I have not
planning?
planned.
Okay. Are you planning to attend the meeting on,
Yes.
and on,
And on.
thank you?
I have not planned on meeting
Okay,
this afternoon.
this afternoon, that's fine.
Requested.
I don't think it's necessary.
I will be meeting with your consultant
Oh,
afterwards.
okay, good. Sweet, then you pick up the tab. Last
Good.
man pays the bill.
Bring the
That's
beer.
what I gotta do. I owe him lunch, you know.
No, okay.
And if
No, we're looking forward to that. That should be very informative. So, I haven't met him yet. I talked to him on the phone several times, but,
for your records, his last name spelling is Kaspener.
yeah.
We
That
corrected
was
that already.
Just all.
Probably my mistake.
No.
But yeah, we did mention that this morning.
No, it
so.
wasn't. It was Brenda's. She's in a
Oh,
hurry.
we can blame
In a
Yeah,
Brenda.
hurry to
you
get
can
out
blame
of
me
here.
for anything you want.
Without
Can you come
repercussion.
to that meeting with me tomorrow? You can take the blame for everything.
Right. Without repercussion, we can blame stuff on you.
Yeah, sure.
Won't come back to
Well,
haunt.
you know,
Retaliate.
Yeah, I do know.
Within
That's why I'm asking. All right, any further public comment? Hearing none, Chair will entertain a motion to
I
adjourn.
move we adjourn.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting's adjourned. How are you? Good.